So I'm nowhere near retirement age just as of yet, but that doesn't stop me from watching plenty of those videos all over YouTube about the best states to retire to. And of course, many of our clients that we speak with on a regular basis are either looking for health insurance because they're retiring early, or they are of traditional retirement age and are first enrolling in Medicare. So in today's video, I want to talk about some of the best states to retire to from a health insurance point of view. Now, I'm not just taking health insurance into consideration. I also looked at states that are becoming more and more popular for retirees, things like climate and things to do, cost of living, and of course, access and cost of healthcare. Now, of course, feel free to weigh in below if you agree or strongly disagree with these states that we have listed, but today's video is really just a fun look at some of the best states to retire to, which will hopefully offer you some type of insight as to the healthcare access there as well. So that being said, I hope you liked today's video, and if you do, please make sure to click that like button, and of course make sure to subscribe to stay up to date. We usually release videos about health insurance and Medicare and changes in health insurance and Medicare. You can always reach us in the comments below or at the number on the screen. We are licensed health insurance brokers and we're licensed nationwide, and there's of course no charge for our services, so please feel free to reach out with any questions. All right, now in no particular order, so the first state that I want to talk about is Maine. Now this may be a surprise to you, or maybe not. So Maine is considered one of the better states as far as access, quality, and cost for healthcare for those that are retired. You can see on this chart here. Now take all of this with a grain of salt because I looked at another chart which ranked Maine as lower on healthcare for seniors because of accessibility in rural areas. So really it does depend. If you live closer to the cities, then you'll have greater access, of course, to healthcare. If you choose to live somewhere more rural, then lesser access to healthcare. But that's pretty much the case across the board. So anyway, Maine is usually considered to have better quality healthcare for seniors in cost, the quality of the healthcare, and access to healthcare. Now, of course, in general, you can choose to go with original Medicare alone or original Medicare and a Medicare supplement plan. And that's also a great option in Maine because there is some increased flexibility. So in most states, you only have a 6-month window after you turn 65 and enroll in Part B to enroll in a Medigap plan without medical underwriting. However, Maine has some additional flexibility. So in Maine, you have the ability to switch to a plan with the same or lesser benefits at any point during the given year. And also carriers have to designate at least 1 month during the year where everyone can enroll in a Plan A without medical underwriting. So there is some increased flexibility there. Now, if you choose to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan instead, then you can take a look to see what the average premium and out-of-pocket maximum for Maine would be. So let's scroll on down. So in Maine, the average premium is $19 per month, and the average out-of-pocket maximum is $6,006 per month. So that certainly doesn't put you at the lowest out-of-pocket maximum, but it puts you at a pretty reasonable monthly premium, and it doesn't put you at the top of the charts for out-of-pocket maximums anyway. And as always with Medicare Advantage plans, there are so many plans to choose from, and these numbers are really just average, so you may be able to get a much better Medicare Advantage plan than the average. Another good thing about living in Maine is, of course, the cost of living. For a senior, it's estimated that the total expenditure is somewhere around $64,405, and then you can always built in that 20% comfort buffer. And Maine is currently one of the most popular states that retirees travel to retire, meaning those that are moving out of state. One of the most popular states that they are moving to retire is Maine. So they must know something we don't know, and perhaps that's because of the tax benefits. Maine offers a property tax relief program for eligible residents age 62 and older. That's wonderful. The state exempts Social Security benefits up to $10,000 of pension income from state income taxes, and that's definitely advantageous. There's a low crime rate. Of course, Maine is known to be one of the most beautiful states in the United States, a vibrant cultural scene, and this is a big plus for me, fresh seafood. Then the negatives, everybody knows when they think about Maine, they think about those super cold winters. So if you are not somebody that enjoys the cold, then Maine is probably not right for you. Moving on to someplace slightly warmer, this one really surprised me. Kansas has become one of the most popular states for those who are looking to relocate when they retire. And let's take a look as to why. So as far as a ranking of access, quality, and cost of healthcare, Kansas is in the top third, which is certainly good, with the costs being relatively reasonable, quality being relatively reasonable, and access being very reasonable. So there's broad access to healthcare in Kansas. Now, one of the biggest positives to retiring in Kansas is just how inexpensive it is. And perhaps that's why it's becoming one of the most popular places for retirees to relocate to. It's estimated that you can retire on $50,517 per year in Kansas. And that is a significant decrease from Maine when you're talking about, not having any additional income from employment coming in. So Kansas is certainly considered to be one of the better states to retire to because of that. Now, unlike Maine, there's no additional flexibility for those Medicare supplement plans. However, in Kansas, Medicare supplement plans are on the less expensive side. It's ranked 21 out of 50 with an average monthly premium being $119.94. Remember, these are Medicare supplement plans, not Medicare Advantage plans. If we wanted to look at Medicare Advantage plans, then again, Kansas is looking pretty good with an average monthly premium of $4 and an out-of-pocket maximum of $3,887 on average. So that is pretty good as well. Now, as far as actual living in Kansas, as we discussed, it has a pretty low cost of living, which can make it very desirable. It has a much more moderate climate. However, unlike some of the other destinations we're going to talk about in a second, it is a moderate climate where you can still experience all 4 seasons and have plenty of outdoor activities and cultural scenes, including the Kansas State Fair, the Wichita River Fest, and Tallgrass Film Festival. Now, as far as the cons, it does say here some limited healthcare options, but I'm not entirely sure that that is correct. Limited public transportation, which could be an issue if you are limited in your driving ability. And of course, tornadoes, which would definitely put it out for me. But if you're not scared of tornadoes, then maybe Kansas is a great option for you. All right, moving on to some of the less surprising ones. The next one is Arizona, which has been a very big retirement hotspot for years now. Arizona ranked in maybe the top quarter as far as cost, quality, and access to healthcare. So pretty good as far as healthcare is looking. As far as Medicare supplement plans, it is a little bit on the more expensive side, ranked 30 from 1 to 51 because they're including Washington, D.C. with an average monthly premium of $128.93. Although really, if you look across the board, they're really sort of all hovering in similar financial spheres with the exception of, New York or maybe Hawaii, some of the much more expensive states. Now, if you wanted to go the Medicare Advantage route, then in Arizona, let's take a look. Average monthly premiums are about $5, so that's on the low side. An average out-of-pocket maximum somewhere around $4,083. One of the main reasons people like to retire to Arizona, though, is Arizona itself. It's got that warm climate that is very attractive to many retirees. Beautiful outdoors, lots of outdoor activities like hiking, camping, fishing, golfing, etc. Cost of living, we're going to talk about that in just a second. It's lower than California, but it's certainly more expensive than others. And it has a very, very vibrant cultural scene. Now, some of the reasons not to retire to Arizona, other than the costs, which we're going to talk about in a minute, retirement income taxes. Arizona does tax retirement income, which could put you off, and natural disasters, especially wildfires, dust storms, and flash floods. Now, the biggest reason I could see for not moving to Arizona to retire would be the cost of living. It is slightly more expensive than some of the others on this list. However, if you are from more expensive areas like California, then perhaps moving to Arizona seems extremely cost effective. So all in all, still an area I would consider, although a little dry and hot for me. So the next one on this list might be my favorite, and that is Pennsylvania. Now, honestly, I was surprised to see Pennsylvania ranked this low on this chart for healthcare, but I think that's because the healthcare there can be a little bit costlier. However, the quality of healthcare in Pennsylvania is top notch. You can see here that as far as Medicare supplement plans, it's slightly on the more expensive side, but again, these are all pretty comparable. And if you did want to go the Medicare Advantage route in Pennsylvania, it's definitely on the more expensive side. So I'm thinking that's why it pushed it up or rather it pushed it down on that chart, is because the healthcare in Pennsylvania does tend to be a little bit more expensive, but it is really, really quality healthcare, and it's pretty hard to put a dollar figure on that. Speaking of which, although the healthcare can be a little bit more expensive in Pennsylvania, the cost of living is certainly on the lower side. You can get by with $55,320. So, as I said, it is extremely affordable, really good healthcare. Pennsylvania is, of course, one of the original states, so a vibrant, rich history and culture, really good cultural scene in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is a beautiful state with natural landscapes, the Poconos, national forests, etc. So some people find Pennsylvania to be too cold. It is a little bit colder, perhaps not as moderate as Kansas, but you're not going to get those tornadoes, and it's certainly not as cold as Maine. And finally, let's talk about Florida. Yes, we had to keep Florida on this list, of course. So Florida is still ranked pretty decently as far as cost, quality, and access to healthcare. Florida is a huge state, so it just varies across the board where you live. If you're in northern Florida, where it's a little bit more rural, or southern Florida, where it's definitely more urban, then the cost, quality, and access to healthcare changes drastically. Now, in Florida, Medicare supplement plans do tend to be more expensive. But on the flip side, as far as Medicare Advantage plans are concerned, I think they are the cheapest in the, well, no, look, it looks like on average, Kansas might be a little bit cheaper. But in general, there are so many Medicare Advantage plans in Florida that are offered at no additional monthly premium. You just need to continue to pay for Part B. And while that may be similar across the board in the United States, there is something different and special about those Medicare Advantage plans in Florida. In general, we try to steer our clients towards Medicare supplement plans, Medigap plans. There's no pre-authorization, no networks, no issues. It gives you the greatest access and flexibility with your health care. In Florida, the Medicare Advantage plans are just so much better than everywhere else in the United States. So, like I said, in general, we try to steer our clients toward Medicare supplement plans. In Florida, we might steer you towards a Medicare Advantage plan because they are just so much better there than everywhere else and so much less expensive. So that really is a major plus to living in Florida. You can have access to really quality health care. All you have to do is continue to pay for your Part B monthly premium. And very often there are so many additional benefits with these Medicare Advantage plans, like dental, vision, hearing, prescription drugs, as well as many other benefits like silver sneakers, over-the-counter medications, etc. Now, living in Florida, again, this is an average, $59,660, but it just varies so much depending upon where you live. And of course, there's a tremendous amount of senior retirement homes like the Villages in Florida, which it's my understanding it's like Disney World for those who are retired. Now look, there's a reason that everybody retires to Florida, or at least used to retire to Florida. No state income tax, which is huge. In general, it is a lower cost of living. A lot of the things are less expensive in Florida. Homestead exemption for your property that you owned, tax-friendly retirement accounts, the weather, although it's too hot for me, healthcare, some really quality hospitals in Florida. There's plenty of outdoor activities, although again, too hot for me. But if you like golf, Florida is a great place to be, as well as if you like the beach. Now, some of the main cons, the property insurance. Woo, that's really expensive in Florida, as well as those property taxes. Tourist areas can be expensive, yeah, but you don't have to go there. Sales tax. The sales tax is higher in Florida, but that's because there is no income tax. It can be a little bit crowded depending upon where you live, the traffic, and the drivers in Florida, really bad. And the heat and humidity, and generally speaking, the weather in general with the hurricanes, depending upon where you live. But if you do not like heat and humidity, Florida is not for you. So, which of these states would you consider retiring to? Was this a successful list, or are we way off base? Let us know in the comments below. Now, of course, if you're interested in traveling in your retirement, make sure to check out this video over here. It will give you a better idea of your travel insurance options. And of course, if you have questions, you can reach us in the comments below or at the number on the screen. As I said earlier, we are licensed nationwide and there's absolutely no charge for our services. And before you go, make sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date. We'll see you next time.